Alright, hello everyone. My name is Colin Hanna. I am a student at the University of Houston in the Information Visualization class taught by Dr. Amory. My topic is climate change and how we visualize that. So most of us can agree, or at least most of us that accept science can agree, that climate change is an existential threat to the existence of our species, and we're very bad at visualizing it. It's an issue that's life or death for literally all 7.5 billion people, and this doesn't seem to prompt the same sense of urgency that a rather minor or moderate disaster did, like the 2014 Ebola outbreak. This might be because climate change is occurring over a prolonged period of time, and the only thing that can really fix how we look at climate change is addressing it as a society. So we tend to think of climate change right now as reducing our carbon footprint on an individual level. We also tend to think that climate change isn't going to have a dramatic effect on our lives because we will be dead when most of those changes happen. Both of these are simply false notions or sentiments. So one of the reasons that we are just so bad about it, in my opinion, so bad at visualizing it, is because over the last 100 years, the CO2 parts per million hasn't really started to go up drastically since 1975, where it's in the 1800s it was sitting right below 300 parts per million, and then after 2000 it hit 375, and most recently in the 2020s or in the 2010s it's gone above 400 parts per million. We haven't really seen the devastating effects of the temperature as well. We've only really seen temperatures start to really rise and rise dramatically since the year 2000. So how does this really relate to how we learned in class? Well, the image that I created, which you'll be able to see, it only has 3 variables: time, CO2 emissions as parts per million in the atmosphere, and the temperature. The graph is very simple. It shows how temperature, CO2 emissions, and all correlate over time. We can see that there's a bit of a lagging effect between when CO2 levels go up and when temperature goes up, which partially explains why humans are so bad at visualizing climate change. And the amount of data ink is minimized. There's no irrelevant information or redundant data on the redundant data ink on the graph. We're also really bad at visualizing it because we tend to think of climate change as something which we do on an individual level, when in reality there's numerous entities which are largely responsible for the bulk of it. One of the statistics is that only 100 corporations are responsible for 71% of the world's CO2 emissions. China's coal company, public coal company, alone is responsible for almost 15% of emissions. The consequences is that we're going to have just gradual heating, which is going to destroy us. And there's not really anything we can do about this on an individual level. In order to really change it, we have to burn down the capitalist system and replace it with a eco-socialist system. We have to overthrow the ruling class in every country and replace it with a sustainable eco-socialist society.